I got an interesting person that emailed me last night about a subject of fishing, and this pertains to a lot of us, even me when I'm fishing in tournaments or just out guiding. In his email, he wrote to me, he said, you know, I can go out early in the morning and I could catch a few topwater fish, and I could catch some crankbait fish, and then after about an hour and a half, the bite stops. And then he goes to like telling me that he's rubber worm fishing or fishing with Texas rig or whatever, and he says, I can see the fish on the bottom, but I can't catch them. Why can't I catch these fish? Well, you know what? That happens to everybody, guys. But let me tell you how I combat that and keep catching fish through that slow period. What they did was they fed real early in the morning, and they're slowing down because they're full. After you eat breakfast, you're full. You don't just keep eating. So the fish are the same way. But I have found ways to keep catching fish throughout the day, even in the slow periods. And a lot of these I have covered with you. And I have a number of techniques here, probably 4 or 5, that work, all right? Let me start with the Carolina rig, all right? This is real simple. I just have a light little Carolina rig like this, small little curly tail worm, and I have that short little leader. I use a short little leader like this, and it works. Just a bobber stopper on the top, 2 bobber stoppers on the bottom. Or you can make up your own Carolina rig. They all work the same. 1/8 ounce weight, 8 to 10 pound test leader, all right? Another way is the Texas rig. Now, I've got this a bobber stopper on there, and it's a brush hog. It's a ditch digger from 5150. It's one of their new brush hogs, so I've been using those, and they work just the same as the Zoom, if not better, because they still have that garlic taste to them. When the fish bite them, they seem to hold on to them. And they have my favorite colors too, you know, Carolina green, which is a watermelon candy, and they have green pumpkin, and they have watermelon with black flake. So that's 1, that's 2. Here's number 3, the flick shake. And I've covered this before, but you got to remember, you got to keep these handy, you know. This is your arsenal. They're going to hit one of these baits. So that's just a little flick shake worm. You can use any kind of bait you want. You can stick a Morning Dawn 5150 on there, see how thin it is, just like this, you know. And it works the same. You can even take and use a curly tail worm. You can use these little curly tail worms, these Berkeley power worms. They work great on that, on the flick shake. These work great on a lot of stuff. So the flick shake, here's the Ned Rig. We talked about this the other day. So just a simple little TRD on a Ned Rig flathead, and that just stands straight up like this. I do take this off sometimes if they're not hitting that little stubby little thing right there. I do take that off, and I'll substitute it with a Berkeley power worm that has a curly tail on it. So that will stand straight up too. You can use these on these rigs right here. But remember the other day, I took a 1/8 ounce ball head, very inexpensive. Somebody wrote me another email. Don't you lose a lot of those with that hook sticking out like that? Not really. You really don't. But here's one thing you can do where you don't lose them. Just don't put a big enough bite on there. Just go in 1/8 of an inch like this. Slide this up all the way to the head of the ball head, and just bend it and put it in. Now look what you have. You have a Texas rig, and you can go through trees, you can throw it under brush, you can go through the rocks, and believe me, with this 5150, the way it floats, that baby's gonna stand straight up in the swimming pool. I've already tested this. And remember, I shaved the head of that. These are just some of the tips that I'm showing you that always work for me when the fish don't bite and you see them on the graph. Try them out. They really work. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So I really appreciate you guys watching these, and I get a lot of comments, all good. Thank you again for watching Fishing with Gary.